So, when the dust had settled on the Vissla CT Shaper rankings post Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach, it was defending CT Shaper of the Year Matt Biolos and the Lost Surfboards program retaking the number one position. They had a record-setting 6 results out of a possible 16 at Bells Beach, including both men's finalists in Griffin Colapinto and event winner Cole Hausman. Really, really impressive. That said, Sharp Eye Surfboards collected 5 results of their own, including women's runner-up Joanne DeFay, who is currently, as you mentioned, second in the world following back-to-back finals. Early in the season, of course, but Lost and Sharp Eye, they are creating the contours of a 2-horse race at the moment. Mitch, what stood out to you on the 2024 Vissla CT Shaper rankings from the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach?
Well, first of all, I didn't know it was record-setting until you said it right there. That's crazy that they got 6 people into the quarters or better, both men and women combined. I think it comes down to having a really good women's team, and I feel like Gabriella Bryan, Caroline Marks, they are huge for Mayhem right now. If they're able to get Suri Lindblad into a bit more of a role here, especially heading into Margaret River and get her into the quarters or better, that's going to be major for them. Not a huge amount of separation between Sharp Eye in second and Lost in the lead, just over 3,000 points. But then you look at second and third, just over 41,000 points separating Sharp Eye and Channel Islands. That's massive right there. So CI, they definitely have a lot more work to do. Baron Mamiya hasn't really been able to get any good results after the event at Pipeline. But then you look at DHD also bowing out kind of early where most of their surfers. You need Connor earlier to step up. You need Ethan to start winning. I know it's hard to win events, but at least make the semifinals. Luckily for them, he did make it into finals day over there. But what I will say is that one thing that really stands out to me is that we're seeing somebody like Caitlin Simmer still opt to surf with Chris Borst Designs, and he's already had 2 wins this year. Not going to be catapulting himself into the top 5 conversation just by only having one surfer. But I think this is something that we're probably going to see with Caitlin in the future. We see it with Gabe. We're seeing it with Simmers right now. I just think there's such a personal relationship. And given the conversations that we had during the offseason, Dave, about somebody signing Caitlin, somebody's on the verge of signing Betty Lou Sakwada Johnson. It seems like it's either going to be Paizel or Channel Islands. But as of right now, I just feel like Caitlin's so comfortable with Chris and their personal, intimate relationship, knowing that that's been going on for more than a decade now, and she's still only 18 years old. So I don't really see that changing right now. It just seems to be like there's too much success. And on the men's side, same thing's going to happen for Gabe and Johnny Cabianca. I don't see that relationship dipping out at any point, and I just feel like it's going to continue to grow and maybe even start happening a little bit more on the championship tour. I wouldn't be surprised to see certain surfers opt to select a local shaper and not a big brand.
Super interesting, and you mentioned DHD, Darren Hanley's one of the world's best surfboard shapers, has so many world titles to his name from the likes of Mick Fanning, Stephanie Gilmore. I thought we were going to see a bit more juice from DHD at Bells, and I'm sure he did too, right? They have a very strong team. I think this was an opportunity for them to make up a bit of ground on home soil. I'm sure they're thinking the same thing in WA. It's really interesting, right? And some of these programs in 2024 have certainly been dealt some blows, right? You look at like the Sharp Eye men's program is doing the season without Felipe Toledo. Like if Felipe's on tour, it could be a very different story, right? DHD, 8-time world champion Stephanie Gilmore, she's taking a year off. She'll be back in 2025. Awesome bell surfer. That's another one that they would use to sort of buoy the roster.
Yep.
But then you look at a program like Lost Surfboards, Carissa Moore stepping away indefinitely from competitive surfing. She was a huge performer and earner for that program.
Yep.
They're number 1 in the world, right? And so it's interesting when you look at these programs and how they were able to successfully backfill, or if they're having bad luck, or if they're putting all their eggs in one particular generational basket. It's interesting to see them deal with attrition on their teams.